Awesome. Hello, everyone on the screen. First of all, well done for being here. And I'm super humbled and super grateful to be talking to you guys today. And wow, in what way has this topic changed? When I started talking about this 7 years ago, uh, there were only a few people in the room. Now, 7 years later, this has really expanded and exploded, and there's so much more interest in it. And yeah, you're in the right place, and whatever wisdom to drop in for you will be the right information and the right aspect on your journey. I'm super passionate about this topic, not just from a pleasure point of view or from a sexuality point of view. I really believe this is a big piece for raising the awareness and our consciousness on this planet for not just for men, but for everyone. This is for me topic close to my heart, and I would, I'm on a mission to make 1 billion people aware of this in the next 5 years. Not to persuade them to do the practice, yeah, but just to be aware that this exists. So, like always with these discussions, there's a different levels. There's some people that have never heard about it, and then there are some people that have been practicing ejaculation choice and are multi-orgasmic men for quite a while. So I think for me, the big part of this discussion is in the 30 minutes we have. Could also be 30 hours and 30 days talking about this. But in the 30 minutes, I just want to make sure that if you haven't heard about it, that you walk away with some understanding or a good basis understanding of it, and maybe even some practical tools to apply in your life. And then for the advanced guys that are here, we might touch on one or two aspects there. But then there's also on my website a lot of free information about this, and also really on the advanced level, some good tips. So hang in there for the guys that have really come across it before and practicing it. Just having your energy in this field is also super wonderful. And as I always say, we're talking about men's ejaculation, but this is a topic for men and women. I do these workshops and festivals around the world, and I'm so happy that I get as many women as men in these workshops, because it's not a solo practice. It's not just for men only. This is so intertwined with everything in life, and with a couple, and with connecting, as you will see as we go through some of the detail. Okay, so let's start. What do I mean with ejaculation choice? What do we mean with multi-orgasmic man? I'm a great fan of that movie. I don't know if anyone have seen it, many years ago, Philadelphia, where the guy said, "Explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old." So I like people to explain things to me like that, and I like to demystify things and keep it simple. So I'm going to really attempt to try to do that. So for me, the practice of ejaculation choice, let's start there, is having the ability to choose when you want to ejaculate. So let's that sink in for a moment. Ejaculation choice, having the ability to decide when you want to ejaculate. Now, that sounds very simple. However, 99% of men, as a guesstimate, I haven't done any research on it, but 99% of men on this planet don't have a choice when to ejaculate. It's something that happens to them. It's not something that you can decide, I'm going to ejaculate at this moment, or I'm going to hold it a bit and ejaculate a bit later. And I like the word choice rather than control. So we're talking, yes, about ejaculation control, but it's also, I prefer the word choice. It's just so much lighter than control. There's so much, especially on our men, about achieving. So I don't want to create another achieving thing for guys. There's so much pressure already. So I love the word ejaculation choice. So to explain that, let's look at a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 would be when you're not aroused at all, and 10 would be when you ejaculate and you crash over the edge, as they say. So at 1, no arousal, and at 3, 4, 5, you start getting higher arousal. Sorry, 7, 8, 9, high arousal, and at 10, you ejaculate. Now, for most men, and I mean, guys, these are generalizations, but for most men, when they hit 6 or 7, it's a very fast jump to 10, to the ejaculation. You know, they get to, we get to 6, 7 of arousal, and then it's very fast to go straight into the ejaculation, and you know, crash over. So a lot of what I'm talking about is the ability for a man to play around and to serve pleasure and arousal rate of a higher rate, without ejaculating. So to be at 5, 6, 7 of arousal rate, and as I said, 1 was when there is no eros, no arousal, 10 is ejaculating, 5, 6, 7, 8 starting to getting very aroused, and then be able to serve that and to stay in that space, and still have arousal in the body and still have a lot of energy moving, but not to go over into the ejaculation part. And it's exactly in this zone that to get to the second concept about being a multi-orgasmic man, it's exactly in this space that the multi-orgasmic man aspect then kicks in. Now, if you can hold your ejaculation and you can stay in the lovemaking, you know, for a period, you know, not just 5 minutes, but maybe 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, you're in that zone of high arousal, you're not ejaculating, and I'll talk a little bit about how we do it, but maybe just to explain the context of what we do, what happens then. You're in that space and energy starts moving in your body, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. But you start feeling this energy flowing in your body, and you start having orgasms. And you can have 2 orgasms or energy movements. You can have a full body orgasm where you've got so much energy moving in your body because now you're making love for like 20 minutes or an hour, and feeling a lot of sensations in your body. I sometimes prefer rather calling it full body sensations than orgasms, because it's so different than the ejaculation explosion. But now you start feeling all of this happening to you. Now imagine you're in the state of making love for half an hour or an hour, and you're constantly in this orgasmic state. Can you feel the transmission of that? You're constantly in this high arousal state, but you're not crashing over. And we often hear women are multi-orgasmic, and you know, when people start saying that men are multi-orgasmic, people go like, "What? No, but that's women." My view is that men are as multi-orgasmic as women, and we haven't just been, you know, taught this, you know, and that, and I suppose often in with pleasure in a woman's space, there's also so much conditioning that we all have been so conditioned, that's been limiting us in a big way. So this surfing that wave of that speed, you know, at that arousal rate, creates all this energy moving in your body. You're breathing it up, and I'll explain a bit more about that. And you can have this orgasm or energy body cessation, which is full out through your body. Or you can also have like ejaculation, a full-on ejaculation feeling, but feel like you're ejaculating through your genitals, but you actually do not have like semen coming out, but it feels like a full-on ejaculation. You know, this is more rare, but it also, rare is probably the wrong word. It's not, probably more, if you're practicing it for a while, that would start happening. But definitely the feeling of the energy moving through your body becomes like really, really, really profound. So I hope that gives a bit of a context what I mean with the ejaculation choice and a multi-orgasmic man staying in that vibe. of high energy. And very important, what I want to also talk about here is that this talk, or my view, is very ejaculation positive. It's very pleasure positive. It's very love-making positive. There are guys on the internet that are talking about don't ejaculate at all. So, and bless them, that's their journey, but that's not what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is celebrating ejaculation. I think it's super good. So just to make that very clear, I think ejaculation is beautiful. The only thing what I'm talking about is not to making it a goal, and to really realize that you can actually make love without ejaculating. You can have this beautiful energy flowing and making love and not ejaculate. Now, isn't that for most of us a crazy point? You know, most of us have been conditioned, or men and women for that matter, that if a man make love, it must end in ejaculation. Now, I want to break the news to you, if you haven't heard that it doesn't have to. You can make this beautiful love and not have to ejaculate. And then tomorrow you can make love again and don't have to ejaculate. And maybe the day after you make love, and then you can have maybe an ejaculation. So it's really shifting. There's a whole mindset shift of taking it away, that it's not a goal where we're going to. So it's really flowing with the energy and just being with yourself, with your partner, and let the energy move, and without rushing to the goal or for the climax. We've been so conditioned in that way, but it's actually about the journey, not about about a goal. Okay, so why do we want to do this? Take a sip of my rooibos tea. Guys, why do we want to do this? Basically, very simple. For your own pleasure. As a man, why would you want to have 5 minutes? And that's kind of, if you look at the research around the world, after penetration, lovemaking lasts roughly about 5 minutes. Different research, different places, but it's around about 5 minutes. So why, as a man, would you want to make love for 5 minutes if you could have that pleasure and that sensation for 20 minutes or an hour? And then secondly, a woman's body is so different to a man's body in terms of this. A man is ready within a minute or two with an erection, broadly speaking, whilst for a woman, it takes a good 15, 20 minutes for a body to warm up. And I'm sure a lot of the women and the guys on the screen here will agree with that. It takes some time. You need to slowly flow into it. For a woman to get to orgasmic ability, my experience is it's a good 15, 20 minutes. So I'm a firm believer that you do not have to, no one is responsible for anyone else's orgasm. So you as a guy is not responsible for your partner or a woman's orgasm, and the same for the woman is not responsible for the man's orgasm. Everyone is responsible for their own orgasm. I'm super clear about that. However, as a guy, it's important to stay present for longer. Yes, a cookie every now and then is great for 2, 3, 4 minutes. But if you can't be present, and I'm going to just be a little bit direct here, and last at least for 15, 20 minutes in the lovemaking, then the partner you're with, if she's a woman, is not going to get into orgasmic ability. And when you hit that orgasmic ability, that's when it just flows. So that's the other part. It's not taking responsibility for that, but it is to be present and to be there for that, for that lovemaking. Okay, so how do we do this? Sure. I mean, this is a discussion for that can last days and hours. But I'm going to give some pointers, just to raise some points and some thoughts with you. So energy and breathing is a big part, so slowing down is almost the first thing, so if you as a guy ejaculate fast, whether it's 5 minutes or, and I'll talk a little bit about premature ejaculation also, but for me, premature ejaculation, I think the medical term, and I'm sure Leo can help me out here, it's probably, I think it's 2 minutes, or maybe it's 60 seconds. But for me, premature ejaculation is almost if you ejaculate before you want to. You know, that's, I'll see it in a broader context. And what is important in terms of to start this process, if you want to start lasting a bit longer and moving energy, slowing down is a big part. Slowing the whole interaction down with your partner, slowing your breathing down is super important. And then also breathing the energy into the rest of your body. Now, this may sound woo-woo, but maybe just to practically explain it, the energy build up in our groin area, and that's what happens when, you know, it builds up and you get arousal rate 6, 7, 8. And if it all stays stuck in the groin area, that's when it spills out. And guys, it's so easy just by breathing up a bit slowly. And if you have time, we'll may do a breathing exercise. I'll try. Just by focusing your attention and breathing energy from the groin up into your head or down into your feet, spread the energy in your body, and just magical, you'll see that from your groin area, it will immediately delay the ejaculation. But more than that, it will now give all this energy in your body that will flow through your body. And you start feeling, I mean, I'm just talking about it now and my fingertips is going crazy because I'm breathing as I'm talking. I'm imagining the energy flowing up. So that's how easy it is. Just putting your attention there. And I know most of us have heard about, you know, energy go, you know, where the intention, you know, your attention is, you know, just breathing it up. It's a big part of it. So energy spreading it in the body, slowing down is such a big part. Now, this is not a solo practice, so it's so important, you know. I always, with the men I work with, say to the first thing you do is you talk to your partner or your lover or the woman you're connecting with what you're doing, because otherwise she has got no context to what's happening, because it's such a beautiful process in the lovemaking, because your partner will also start realizing when you're close and also slow down, especially in the early stages. Plus, it's super important to have this discussion, because otherwise, if you've always been ejaculating and now all of a sudden you're not, it's going to raise concerns and stuff with her. So it's so important to have full-on communication about this. Yeah, so, I mean, one thing, and what I often do is, like, what I recommend is like a quick squeeze of the pelvic floor. You know, like when you're holding a pee, just to quick squeeze, and then breathing from your groin up to your head, and that pelvic floor being a little bit stronger is good. So a little bit of the Kegel exercises that women do is also good. However, having it a little bit stronger is good, but not. It's so important not to go and over-exercise that, because actually if it gets too tight, that actually creates more ejaculation. So it's like relatively strong, but a relaxed pelvic floor. And then, yeah, then often, and this is now maybe more advanced kind of space, often when you get to the ejaculation, it's often not about contracting, it's about relaxing into it. And that's really when the body goes, you relax, and that's actually when the energy flows through. And I know there's some guys on the internet that says do 2 million Kegel exercises a day, and please don't do that. You know, I think it's good to have some. I think for men must have some kind of strength there. For some guys don't have it all, but you don't want to tighten that area like loads. It's more about relaxing than tightness and control. And then, so we talked about breathing. And then there's another part that is so important, and I don't think we can have time to go into the detail of this, but how much pleasure can you handle? How much emotions can you handle? You know, this is the question I always ask, you know, for myself, not just, you know, because it's a constant journey. In my experience, premature ejaculation often happens, and this is now talking within 30 seconds, 2 minutes, and so on, or even 5 minutes, often happens when the nervous system is not used to a lot of emotions or pleasure. So many guys are in that space with this, you know, in this beautiful connection, this beautiful woman, and they're right there, and emotions get so much, and they haven't been taught how to handle emotions. They haven't been taught how to handle, build their capacity for pleasure. And then the fastest and the quickest, best way out is to escape, to abort. I know it sounds crazy, but boom, ejaculate, boom, then you're out of it. And if you stay in that journey, then if you have to feel all this emotions, you have to feel all this pleasure. Now, yes, pleasure is wonderful, but it's also scary if your nervous system isn't used to that. And I almost get emotional when I talk about this. In our society with conditioning, pleasure has been given such a bad rep that a lot of us are not used to a lot of pleasure. And then if it gets too much, we totally abort. So therefore, I have really good news for guys that do have premature ejaculation, and to whatever context, even if it's 30 seconds or 60 seconds or longer. And that is that, in my experience, it's very few, probably 5%, of cases where it is a physical problem. 95% is it's emotional. It's everything else that we're talking about here. This is not a physical problem. This is something that you just haven't been learned or experienced. This being able to hold pleasure in your body. So that's really good news. Then maybe a quick tip that I can give also to guys. And once again, this is a journey. I just want to say there's not a 30-minute class that one listen to, and then boom, you're multi-orgasmic, But the same, when you played rugby at school or football and basketball in the States and other places, you didn't just start playing it. You got a coach and they were taught these things. The same applies to this. So I really see it like the same way. You go to the gym, you don't start on day one pushing your body weight. You do a few reps, you go regularly, and then you start getting better. So I want to really make this point so strong. This is a journey that you go onto. However, starting tomorrow, already a quick tip, is self-pleasuring practice, masturbation practice, which, by the way, I think is an amazing thing to do apart from lovemaking. Even if you make love with your partner, still self-pleasure also in between. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And you, once again, don't have to ejaculate, but self-pleasure and masturbate. A very quick way to lengthen your the way that you can make love longer and have more choice in your ejaculation is to extend your self-pleasuring to at least 15 or 20 minutes. Now, most of our guys, ejaculate within 2 minutes, because when we were teenagers, we had to do it quickly in a toilet, or we had to do it quickly, in a shower. And our nervous system are so trained with this. Plus, we go into porn, and then there's a little clock in the corner there that goes tick, tick, tick to see how quickly you can ejaculate, which is just crazy. So I often use this example of that. So now you ejaculate in 2 minutes. It's like training for sprints. Now imagine you train for 4 years sprints, 100-meter sprints. Then you go to the Olympic Games, you arrive there after 4 years, and as you arrive there, the guy said to you, well, you're not doing sprints today, you're going to run a marathon. So, your whole body is training for sprints, 100 meters, and now you have to run a marathon. And I equate the same with self-pleasuring your whole life, every day for 2 minutes, ejaculating in 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and then you connect with a partner or with a woman. There's no way. Your body is just so trained to ejaculate in 2 minutes. So it's a quick way to break the cycle, is to start the self-pleasuring on a longer basis. So quick tip, take away self-pleasuring 20 minutes at least, and then take that also into the lovemaking. So what other benefits are there for this? And we won't have time to go into all of it, but firstly, energy retention. There's so much energy retention with not ejaculating every day, especially if you're over 30, 40, 50, 60. We lose about 200 million sperm cells with every ejaculation. and like 150 vitamins and proteins. And once again, ejaculation is beautiful, but if you're 50 years old and you ejaculate 3 times a day, trust me, you're going to be pretty depleted. Or even if you're 30 years, my son at 18, he said, Dad, no, it's okay, I'm 18. And it was cool. Now he's 28 and he says, no, Dad. And he's actually starting to apply exactly what we're talking about. At 28, I can already see the difference. So firstly, the energy retention for you is amazing. It really have so much more energy. It takes like between 3 to 7 days for your body just to replenish itself. I call it the ejaculation hangover period. Because remember, this is like juices that create life. It's the best of your body that goes to an egg to create life. So this is magical, potent, sacred juice. So consciousness and awareness around that is so important. Sure. Then there's another big one. It really deepens your heart connection with your partner. I don't have time to go into detail into that, but if it interests you, it's fascinating. You actually get into a lot of the women that, of the partners of the men that have been in my courses or that I work with, say that they can't believe it. The heart connection with their partner has gone so much stronger. And there are some reasons for that. And then also manifestation is great. There's a book, Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill, 1939, published in the States. And believe it or not, in 1939, there's a chapter called Sexual Energy Transmutation. And this is kind of what he's talking about there. 200-300 very successful men that he interviewed, and he looked at 13 attributes that made them successful. Boom, there's sexual energy transmutation, 1 out of 13. And this guy wrote in 1939 about it, in the States of all places. I don't know, I think 39, and probably I think it was pretty relatively conservative. So yeah, that's just magic. So there's a pointer, check that out. There's magic in that. Guys, and then it's almost like full circle to get to my first point, greater awareness, about your body as a man, create greater awareness about life and about everything around you. And good God, if there's anything that we need at this point in the world and in life, is men with greater awareness. So this comes full circle for me, is that, when you drop into this awareness of your body and your life and your connection, your relationships, you become just so much aware of everything around you. And with that, so much greater awareness, of the world around us. And that's what we need. Strong men that are centered in their power and super aware.
Hey, Lenerd, I wonder if you could answer this question out loud.
I was going to do the exercise, but I didn't.
Oh, yeah, you can do the exercise
Sure.
and you can answer the question later in the chat box. It was just a good question about how vasectomies affect the practice.
Okay. Let me, the exercise, I think we might not have been for that, but what I would like to is like almost, let's do, so we did quick 2 breaths like that. We won't have, I would love to do 10. It's basically to contract the PC muscle and then breathe up to the top of your head and then imagine energy moving from your groin up to your head. Does that make sense? So it's like almost like a contraction and then relax out. So let's do 3 quickly of that. It's going to be very fast, and then maybe try that later tonight or tomorrow. So contract, breathe in, breathe out. Contract, breathe in, and pull the energy. Imagine energy putting up from your groin to your head. Breathe out. Last one, contract. Breathe in. Breathe energy out. Very super fast exercise, guys, but that will just help with visualizing that. And with the vasectomy. So I had a vasectomy at the age of 39. It didn't affect anything for me, I must say. I'm not a medical expert. I don't know whether it would do, at a later age. Absolutely no difference for me in terms of my sexual performance, but the same applies. If you, even if the sperm is the sperm cell is like such a small fraction of the whole semen part, I think it's probably 5% or something. All the other vitamins and all the other stuff is still there. So there's still a massive, depletion of energy with that. If that's the right, if I understand the question about vasectomy, right?
Yeah, that's great. Amazing. Thank you, Lenerd. Anything else you wanna close out with? We've got your free gift up in the chat.
Yeah, just a free gift, guys. I would love to gift you a memoir of my book, Jump, an epic soul and sex adventure. And the reason I give this is because my whole life, sacred sexuality and multi-orgasmic man aspect has been always part of it. This happened to me 20 years ago. By the grace of God, grace of the universe, I became multi-orgasmic before I even knew the word Tantra. It's only 10 years ago, 10 years later, that I went around the world, 5 years, arrived in Hawaii, and I heard men talking about this. When this happened to me 20 years ago, I was the CEO of an insurance company, and there wasn't, firstly, my friends didn't know what I'm talking about, and it's not something I could discuss in the boardroom. So I lived with that for 10 years without understanding. And when I went to this Tantra festival, I spoke to guys, and they said, wow, this is a practice from ancient China and ancient India, Taoism and Tantra. And wow, the lights went up, and that was amazing. And a lot of that is in my book. And so yeah, I would love to give that to you, and maybe there's some other pointers there for you.